stuff. So step one for base waxing your skis would be to first of all clean the base off them. And for that we're going to use an offcut of this white cloth. And then within the smart red box we've got base cleaner. Labelled conveniently base cleaner. Be continuous with what you do. So start at the tip. You can see here there's a load of grit on and just dust. I'm going to start at the tip and work our way down. Always continuing in that straight motion. Don't want to be scrubbing up and down like that, there's no need. Here there's been grip tape on it, so we aren't going to rub a fibrous cloth over something that's sticky. Some of the skis have fish skins on like this, so I guess we are able to, and that's the reason that we want to clean the skis that are filthy after they've been stood in the ski store over the summertime. The next step would be with a soft bristled brush. I'm just going to brush down and moving from the tip to the tail again. And what this does is it sort of makes the base more responsive to absorbing the wax. Just want to move in straight strokes, having the brush flat and moving parallel to the ski, sort of short 6-inch strokes. Next stage would be melting the wax of choice onto the base of the ski. You have your waxing iron here. Depending on the wax that you're using, it will be temperature specific. At the moment I think this wax is meant for like optimum temperature is -7 to -12. Sort of conditions that we're mostly going to have here, or that will be most beneficial for these skis. And on the packet of the wax it'll tell you the temperature that you need to melt it at. If it doesn't tell you the temperature, the main tip is to have the iron hot enough that it's going to melt the wax, but if you're melting it and smoke is coming off, then it's too hot and you can change the temperature just by adjusting the dial here. For this wax we have the temperature on 130, and you really don't need to put a huge amount of wax on. The idea with putting the wax on is that you have wax in the bed of the ski and not actually on the ski. Although when you're dripping or melting the wax on, you want to hold the iron upside down so that the wax is going to drip off the corner of it. In that sense it makes it's better to have the wax placed down here than dripping all the way down the iron. So we can start at the tip of the ski again. And we're just going to move down. We don't want to put wax over the fish skin in the middle. This also will suffice. The more skis you do, you'll realise how much you actually need to put on when you start ironing it. Once you've spread it over, and it's time to iron. And the idea behind this is that you're melting the wax so it gets an even covering, goes from forming little droplets to then covering the ski. Keep its ski stable and not leave the iron in one place for too long. As it melts you can see that the wax is starting to smear all over the ski. So now that you've dripped your wax onto the ski and you've ironed it in so that you have a nice even spread, time comes for scraping it. You're going to use one of the scrapers and you want to work starting at the tip and moving back towards the tail. It's best if you start forwards, you have your scraper angled away from you, like that. You can stabilise the bench with one foot, and then in a long sweeping stroke, move towards you like that. It's much better to go in one direction and to do long strokes, rather than working in different directions and even doing shorter strokes like that. The tips, you may have to do smaller strokes just to account for the angle of where the ski bends up or tips at the back. But in general, if you have your tool angled in this fashion and pull it towards you. You can keep a continuous angle. You can apply downward pressure and scrape the wax off. You're going to want to apply a reasonable amount of pressure, but by no means so much that, or with any of the angles of the scrapers, that you're going to damage the base of the ski. Some of the tools have a curved corner like that, and that's ideal for putting in this central groove and moving down. And at this point you want to be really careful that you don't slip off the side and dangle and damage the side of the ski here. Move forwards like that. So once you've scraped the wax off your ski, you can feel and look in the light that there's no bobs of wax. You have a nice flat surface. The wax that it was on there has now seeped into the base, and any excess has been scraped off. We're ready for the next step. And this next step is going to be brushing where we've waxed. And the point of this is to add a slight buff and bit of texture to the base of the ski. The general rule is that you can't do too much brushing, although when you've got many skis to do, you don't need to spend a huge amount of time on it. It's going to take off any dusty bits of wax that might still be on there. Like I said, just give it a bit of polish, a slight texture. And when you're happy with the brushing that you've done, the white cloth that we used for cleaning earlier, the same sort of cloth, not a dirty one, a clean one, and we're just going to give a final wipe down with that. Unclip the binding so it releases, and then ease it off. Put the binder back on, and you have a ski that's had its base wax, it's been done. And at this point you want to do a final quality control, looking in different light, that there's no bobs on it, no areas that are depleted of wax or there's an excess of wax still on there, and you're good to go.